Hello and welcome to Ageless Rock channel, where amazing and mysterious megalithic sites can be seen from all angles where anything is possible. Java is very rich in culture and tradition, but equally important, Java is rich in megalithic sites. The largest Buddhist temple in the world is actually in Java. Although it has the reputation of being the largest Buddhist temple in the world, it is actually relatively unknown. A lot of my friends and colleagues still do not know about this temple. Borobudur Temple has 4 sides facing the cardinal points with the entrance facing east. This enormous single pile of stones sits on top of a hill at 265 meters above sea level. It would be amazing if we can do it today. But to say ancient Javanese did it with ancient hammers and chisels requires evidence. This lack of evidence can only give mainstream the assumption that ancient Javanese Buddhists built this around 9th century. That means Sailendra dynasty is credited for the construction. Borobudur Temple connects Pawan Temple and Mendut Temple in a mysterious ley line. We still have no clue how it was built and why they built 3 temples in a straight line connecting all 3 stupas. For now, we just say the Sailendra dynasty was extremely advanced in astronomy. The Borobudur temple compound is in Kawasan Candi Borobudur jurisdiction, which means Borobudur temple area in the red boundary. But Borobudur temple compounds include Mendut temple and Pawan temple. Kawasan Candi Borobudur area is in Borobudur district. So don't get confused when you are there searching for something else. Many places are Borobudur around here, and looking for compound can send you to 3 different temples. So let's start with how it all began. As far as locals are concerned, they only knew there was a gigantic temple. In 1814, the locals told Sir Thomas Raffles about an interesting temple near a village called Bumi Segero. As Governor General, he had the authority to order an expedition to check it out, and so he did. He ordered Herman Cornelius, a Dutch engineer, to explore the tropical forest and ended up spending 2 months hacking into the forest with 200 men. When it was cleared, Sir Thomas Raffles went to further his survey due to his interest in Javanese history. He wrote a book entitled A History of Java, and brought Borobudur to world's stage. So it is no surprise that the rediscovery credit went to Sir Thomas Raffles due to his extensive work on Java, and his enthusiasm in Javanese culture and tradition must have been highly contagious. On the side note, Sir Thomas Raffles is also credited as the founder of Singapore, which is known as Singapura in local language, but it was called Temasek in ancient times. There is actually no written account that mentioned this enormous temple. It was just an educated guess that Empu Prapanca wrote in his Nagara Ketagama that there is a holy site in a place called Budur. Archaeologists assume that this place is called Budur in the 14th century. The text written in 1365 AD on palm leaves only said Biara di Budur, which means holy site in Budur. It didn't mention big temple made of stone. It could be a small temple made of wood, and we do not know where is Budur. Biara can be interpreted as Vihara, so mainstream also connects the text to possibly mean monastery. So a sentence on a palm leaf is all you need to say Biara di Budur refers to this particular megalithic temple. This is just one of the many possibilities of the origin of the name Borobudur. Did Empu Prapanca actually mean this megalithic structure in a simple sentence Biara di Budur remains debatable. In the Karang Tengah inscription dated 824 AD, it mentions a sacred building called Jinalaya. Archaeologists believe Jinalaya is Borobudur temple, but Jinalaya is for Jain religion, so this didn't go well either. There are many interpretations you can find on the internet. The locals didn't have a name for this temple. They only told Europeans Candi di Bumi Segero. Bumi Segero is a hamlet just across the river, less than 1 kilometers away from Borobudur Temple. Reconstruction effort was given to Theodor van Erp, who completed the restoration in 1911. The chatra on top of the stupa was later taken down because there wasn't enough original stones, and therefore the actual design is still unknown. That structure is now at Karma Vibhanga Museum, which is to the north of Borobudur Temple compound. This largest temple in the world is basically a square mandala. The square sides are 123 meters long, making the area 15,129 square meters. Although this is architecturally known as step pyramid, the volume cannot be calculated using a typical formula for pyramid. That is because it is more like a trapezoid from the side, where the first 5 levels get smaller at every level. The entire structure is basically this section, which is called Rupadhatu, which is the world of forms. If based on formula, this temple measuring 123 meters at the base and 35 meters tall would have needed approximately 176,505 cubic meters of stone. However, the volume given by Soek Mono, an Indonesian researcher, is only 55,000 cubic meters, so there is about 121,505 cubic meters when missing, right? Actually, this temple is not a pile of stones on the inside. It was a hilltop that was flattened and the soil was used for the core of the temple. So from what I understand, the story went something like this. Once upon a time, in Bumi Segoro hamlet, there was a little hill nearby. The ancient Javanese who were still living in wooden hut with thatched roof got excited with metal tools and decided to flatten the hill at about 265 meters above sea level, but left the center as a pile of dirt. Then they measured the center for a huge stupa and measured north so that it can have 4 sides facing cardinal points. After that, they stacked about 2 million stones around the pile of dirt in 75 years. That works out to be about 1 polygonal block every 2 minutes for an 8-hour shift. I wonder who is the chisel supplier. Anyway, the amount of stone is enough to stretch 500 kilometers if arranged in a single file. The end. The ancient Javanese moved approximately 1.3 million tons of andesite from a bedrock and turned them into an andesite temple. This temple doesn't require mortar because each piece is so perfectly fitted, there is no room to slide even a piece of paper. According to mainstream, during the glorious days of Sailendra dynasty, unknown number of inhabitants were busy for about 75 years placing about 2 million polygonal blocks to form an east-facing temple. That will come to about 219 blocks every 8 hours a day of work. Pretty amazing daily project for 75 years non-stop. This is what a tropical rainforest in Java looks like. Approximately 1,200 years ago, Javanese were mostly still hunting in this area for food, and the Buddhists came along and said they are going to chop the entire top of this hill and flatten it so that they can have a colossal stone temple. So thousands of Buddhists showed up for work and started chopping down the surrounding trees and chiseling andesite bedrock so that they can have a stone temple. They used it for about 200 years and decided the volcano eruptions and earthquakes were too dangerous for worship and meditations. The Buddhists unanimously decided to leave this place and never to return. They managed to hide somewhere in Java in such a manner that no one knows anything about this temple for about 800 years. For comparison around the world, we have Hagia Sophia in Turkey, a 6th century originally a Christian cathedral, and Aachen Cathedral in Germany, built around the same time as Borobudur Temple. They are a fraction of Borobudur Temple in terms of difficulty to build, but yet we still know a lot about these two cathedrals. So what are the odds that Christians will leave the cathedrals because of a few earthquakes and volcano eruptions to the level of lost civilization scenario? The Europeans call Javanese highly advanced in astronomy but writes nothing and remembers nothing. Isn't that weird? The Dutch built St. John's Cathedral in 1220. It took 310 years to complete. It is a fraction of Borobudur in terms of project complexity and size. Austronesians are believed to be great seafarers who reached Hawaii, Fiji, and Easter Island. Logically, the astronomically advanced Javanese should discover the primitive Dutch and colonize Netherlands. But look at the old paintings of Javanese by Europeans. They were simple and unsophisticated as far back as 18th century. Their metal tools were not meant to deal with andesite bedrock. They live in wooden houses with thatched roof. They like to walk barefooted. Java was sparsely populated and Javanese were scattered throughout the island. To build Borobudur Temple will turn Borobudur hamlet of a village into a mega city, but there is no evidence of even a big town. However, archaeologists get to blame everything on one volcano. Whatever it is, when you visit Borobudur Temple, don't forget to stay overnight. The light display will give you a different perspective of the glorious past of Sailendra dynasty. I hope when you visit this site during your vacation, you will not only be shocked by the physical aspect, but also by the fact that mainstream narrative is not rock solid yet. Borobudur is a big megalithic monument and I will continue part 2 in another video. This is Bernie Ong signing out. That's all for now and see you in part 2. Sekian, jumpa lagi.